it feels like we are actually battling, although not physically, but legally, an actual army. So it feels like we're at war. We're at war with the US government who wants to violate the very few rights that undocumented immigrants have in this country.
Welcome again to Chino y Chicano. I'm Enrique Cerna. So what's it like these days to work as an immigration attorney during a time of mass deportations? It's safe to say it's stressful, confusing, frustrating, and often infuriating. After seeing a Facebook post from Seattle-based immigration attorney Maribel Martinez that expressed all of those emotions, I reached out to her to talk about her work. She represents clients who have been arrested by ICE and sent to the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, a place known for poor conditions and little hope for those held inside. Here now is our conversation. Maribel Martinez, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I know that these are extremely busy times for you as an immigration lawyer. I wanted to talk to you because I saw a post that you wrote on Facebook in which you said, going to work is like going to war these days. Can you talk about that?
Yes, that's what it feels like. I feel like we're fighting an actual army, right? Which is what is happening in California with the National Guard and Marines. I mean, like the most highly military force, trained force in the U.S. Army military. So it feels like we are actually battling, although not physically but legally, an actual army. So it feels like we're at war. We're at war with the U.S. government who wants to violate the very few rights that undocumented immigrants have in this country.
It's gone from let's get the criminal element to let's get anybody and everybody that's brown at this point. And that's what's really scary to me.
And you know, the narrative about people that commit crimes or criminals, I mean, come on. I think that narrative is just divisive. And unfortunately, we as Latinos and as immigrants bite into it, in addition to just like everybody else. You know, but that is a divisive tactic because they are dividing us in the good immigrants who have no criminal record and the immigrants, the bad immigrants with some sort of criminal record, whatever that means. But the fact of the matter is that as human beings, we are imperfect. We make mistakes. And in the United States, we actually have a criminal justice system that works. When people commit a crime, they are arrested, they are charged, they go to court, they pay their debt to society. So what is it? If they pay their debt and they can rehabilitate, right? Made a mistake, take responsibility for it, we're done. Why is it that we, as human beings who happen to be immigrants, we have to pay double for the same mistake? So I think that we need to move away. Individuals who have a platform, we need to reframe these issues. It doesn't matter if people have a criminal history or not. The fact of the matter is that we shouldn't be penalized twice. And we shouldn't be penalized for doing the same thing that everybody else other than Native Americans have done in the history of this country. At some point, they came here, they started working, they started progressing, developing their dreams, being productive and building what this country is. We have the same right to be here, just like everybody else. Now, they have changed the rules, but the acts are the same, right? The purpose is the same. We come here seeking to free ourselves of poverty, of oppression, of violence. That's why this is the home of the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? Is the land of people that came here to free themselves of all those things that I just mentioned: poverty, violence, oppression, persecution. And it is a home of the brave, because only all of those of us who have been brave enough to leave everything behind, our family, our friends, our land, the land that is so being born, right? That is so important for every human being. We were brave enough to do that and then come all the way here. And then I'm not talking about just Mexicans or Latinos
Right.
or Chinese, every immigrant
Yeah,
before
from
us.
Eastern Europe,
So I
all
think,
over the world. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that we need to start just reframing these issues and then moving away from this narrative that immigration enforcement is being about going after the bad immigrants or the criminals. We need to move away from that, because it's never been that. During all these enforcement, people who have committed infractions that happen to be of criminal nature have been robbed of their families, of their businesses. If you only knew how many businesses have had to be closed down, so many
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you think should be the reframing and the approach?
I think that we should talk about why is it that there are so many people that are undocumented. I think that we should talk about what the actual immigration laws are, what people can and cannot do. Um, the fact of the matter is that people have no options to regularize their status. There are no options to come here legally. And the options that were actually put in place by President Biden, now they are being dismantled, right? Everybody's talking about like coming here legally. Well, all the people that are being arrested right now came here with a parole. They were allowed to come here. Why? Because the President Biden wanted to bring everybody orderly, where they could be fingerprinted, their identities could be checked, background checks, and they had permission to come in. But other than that, unless people have a family member that can petition for them, a job offer from an employer, very few, on investors, it is very limited ways in which people can actually come to this country. And even once they are here, the ones that have been here for many, many years, many times there is not an option to regularize their status. So I think that that's what we should be talking about. Just really how difficult it is for someone to regularize their status once they are here.
And many people are trying to do that, but the process is such burdensome to try to get through. And then we're seeing people that have been in that line of process going for check-ins, and then they end up being detained, arrested, and in the process of being deported. So it sort of
Violently arrested.
defeats the, yes, violently arrested. You know, let's talk about that a bit, because that is the one thing I've really noticed, and it may be there already, but I just noticed that as ICE has ramped up here, there is a real meanness in how they act and the way they approach people. It's ugly.
I mean, you right now, this is not something new. This, Enrique, this has been going on for a long time. I've been doing detain work since 2014, 2015, during the Obama administration. And the tactics are the same, because these are like police tactics to arrest people that even if they committed a crime, I mean, people with a DUI or a driving while license suspended, or any shoplifting, which are not violent crimes. But I have a lot of clients, male clients, right, that have been arrested, have been tackled to the ground. Here, I'm in Rainier Beach, in front of their children, in front of their schools, that have been pulled over by heavily armed, like just what you see in the videos, individuals who do not identify themselves. And they are so traumatized that when they are released from the detention center, they are afraid to go out. They feel like they are going to be arrested again. So actually, this violence is not new. I have so many clients or people that have done consults at the detention center that tells me that they are physically forced to sign documents so they can be deported. I've had clients with black eyes, with bruises that I have seen myself, and you can ask to a lot of attorneys who do detain work, and they will tell you the same stories. But this violence is not new. I am glad that now it is being recorded for everyone to see.
Yeah, and because of the crackdown, we're probably seeing more of it. People have phones. You're seeing that. And I also think that maybe to some degree, I've been reading some of the stories of polling and things in the New York Times and Washington Post, where even Trump supporters are not happy with the way it's playing out. And I look back, I'm a child of the 60s and the civil rights movement, and remembering the films of the dogs attacking people that were, protesting for civil, yes, in Selma and that. And that, I think, does make a difference in seeing those things. So that's why it's important, I think, for people to speak out and to try to video these things to get the message out about how things are being transpiring.
The truth of
Yeah.
what is actually happening and what is been happening for a long time.
So
Yes.
let's talk about your work as an immigration attorney. So give me kind of a day in the life of Maribel as she's out there in the trenches of all of this. What are you facing, particularly these days?
I am a solo, so I have a lot of people share my number. I don't advertise. So everyone who calls me is because a client of mine or someone who knows me. So I get a phone call. I get phone calls from people who have a court hearing and they are scared to go by themselves. They want a consultation. I schedule consults. I get phone calls from family members, sisters, friends, wives with, this is the worst, when children are crying in the background because their father or, in the past, it used to be just the father, but now it's anybody. I got a phone call the other day about a high school student being arrested a week before graduation, and they didn't know where he was. So I get all these phone calls. My assistants get all these phone calls. We schedule. I'm a private attorney, so this is the thing that sucks about my job, that I have to charge for my services, because if I don't charge for my services, then how do I keep my office and my assistants, right? So then only the people that can afford my services, we schedule them for a consultation. We see what options we have. I go once a week at the detention center.
Down in Tacoma.
I have to get there in Tacoma, either
Yeah.
because I have hearings with my clients or because I'm doing consultations. I have to get there at 7 because right now there are so many attorneys that if we get there any later, we have to wait 2 or 3 hours until we can see the people that we're going to see. And then after I leave the detention center, usually my consultations for detained people, I call the family, get basic information, get all the story. Then I go see them at the detention center, give them the good or bad news, if there is something that can be done or not. And then I leave the detention center and then I call their family to give them the same information. So it's a lot of, if I'm working on declarations for clients that I already have their case going. Right now, I get a lot of phone calls from existing clients. What do I do if ICE detains me? Can they detain me? And a lot of the times the answer is yes. Because a lot of my clients came in, they came in with humanitarian parole. They were released what's called in recognizance, right? Because ICE and CBP have the authority to release anybody they want. When they release on recognizance, they can also change their mind, which is what they are doing now, and then cancel that and detain individuals. So right now it's very hard to answer questions because I don't have an answer, because I don't know. They can do it. They may do it. They may not do it. This may happen. It may not happen. You're a lawful permanent resident. Can you be arrested? Well, yeah, they can accuse you of things. I have a lawful permanent resident now that is just being accused of some stuff that is not even true. And then he's being detained for a month. Oh. So it's really hard right now to give information, even though we know that's the law, even though we know that's not how things supposed to work or that's how it's supposed to work. We have no control over the unlawful actions of the Department of Homeland Security right now, and even the president.
Yeah, because it changes so much. So
that's
much
a day in my life.
And what about the judges in all of this? Are they kind of flying by the seat of their pants as well?
I can't speak for the judges. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. All I can tell you is that when we go to court, the law should be one way and they interpret it in a different way. Why? I don't know. I don't know if they have a directive or I don't know, Enrique. That is a question that only the judges can answer. All I can tell you is that right now, anyone who entered without inspection, for instance, in Tacoma, they are, well, in the past, there was a clear jurisdiction for an immigration judge to release that person on bond if the person met the requirements. Right now, they are finding no jurisdiction. And we as attorneys are like, why? There has been jurisdiction since the law changed in 1996 and was implemented in 1997. You judges have been finding jurisdictions for decades. Why is it that now you are interpreting the law in a different way? And all I can do is tell my clients what the reality is and let them decide what they want to do.
Yeah. What are you hearing from your clients that are at the Northwest Detention Center? The conditions and what they face?
The same thing that I've been hearing for years and years and years is hell. It is cold. They keep the lights on from, let me see if I remember correctly. The lights stay on until about midnight and they come on at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's only 5 hours of darkness. That's one of the things that I remember from my clients. I don't know if it's like that right now, but I know it's been like that for a long time. It's crowded. There is no privacy. They have like bunk beds in big halls. The food is terrible. I've had people get sick because of the food. The food is just disgusting. If you've watched Orange is the New Black, when they switched from the state-run institution to the private institution, when the prison got privatized, that's the kind of food. I've had clients tell me that they found maggots in the chicken, in the food. It was rotten.
Yeah, yes. That's a privately run institution, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and I know these GEO guards. You know, I am always curious and kind and professional with everybody because I just don't think that I have to make people's lives more difficult. I don't care who it is. But being there is very stressful. When I go to the detention center, I come out and I feel like I'm gonna explode, right? Because all these stories, and so I cannot even imagine what it must be like for detainees or for these workers there. It's horrible. It's a prison. It's a jail, a federal prison without the personnel, the guidelines of a prison, of a federal prison. For instance, if you go to the prison in SeaTac, yes, things are bad. But at the detention center, they're horrible.
Yeah. How many clients do you have there right now that you're dealing with?
Clients, 3. Mm-hmm. I don't have any more than 3 clients at a time because I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity to to take any more than that.
Yeah. How do you
Go ahead.
personally handle this? I mean, as you said, you come out of there and you feel like your head's going to explode. You're an immigrant. I mean, you understand, I think, what it's like to come to a new country and then obviously going through this kind of process, but having to go through this, how does it affect you?
Yeah, I am an immigrant. I came here undocumented. I lived in this country for 13 years without status. So I know exactly what it feels. And thankfully, I was way too young, right? I didn't have children. I didn't have a spouse. So I never had to experience the fear of um, me taking away or my family being separated, because by the time I had a family, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Um, as to how it affects me, I don't know. I think that for the longest time, especially during the Obama administration, I was just bottling it in.
Yeah.
But 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to do, was diagnosed with breast cancer. So then that was a little bit of a wake up call. And now that I am doing this, I'm actually, even though I am Mexican, we don't always do this. I am on a look for therapy. It really affects me. I can't pretend that I'm strong. There is nothing that I did to create these laws or the person's situation. There is nothing that I did to cause the suffering. I can do something to help, and that's all I can do. But I was fooling myself because there is no way. I mean, I get out of there and I just cry. And the more time that it goes, that I am doing this every week, I just want to cry for no reason, like I'm PMSing. And so I know that all of this is, as a professional, I need to understand that there are things that I cannot deal with myself and by myself, that I need to find a professional help. Just like I find an accountant to do my taxes, or a mechanic to fix my car.
Yeah.
I need to find someone who helps me deal with all these emotions, because my assistants and my husband and my kids are the ones that have to deal with the emotions that just come out of nowhere. And they are like, what the hell? Where are you? Right? I just put the cup where it don't supposed to be. Sorry. So so that's what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find help so that
Yeah.
I don't drive myself crazy
Right.
and drown in my own anger and sadness.
Well, you got to take care of yourself because you obviously are needed out there, and you understand what the deal is as far as all of this is concerned. So, did you get amnesty under Reagan, or how did you get your citizenship?
So my brother filed a petition for me when I was, I would say, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I just came to the US undocumented. And at that time, there was this 245I law that allowed certain people adjust the status here in the US. If they had filed a petition before a certain time and had been present in the US in December of 2000. And so once there was a visa available through that petition from my brother, then I just filed for adjustment of status.
So you went through the process. I have seen video of U.S. citizens who are of Mexican descent or whatever
Right. Yeah.
being detained and arrested.
Brown US citizens.
Yes.
Okay.
How should we handle that? Okay, if as a brown guy, if I suddenly get detained or confronted, what do I do?
Don't resist, because if you do, you're going to be violently detained. I think you should start recording. You should keep, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to call an attorney. You have the right to a phone call. You should definitely, you have the same rights. We all have the same rights on this land. You know, that's what the Constitution is about. Yeah, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to ask why you're being detained. You have the right to, if you're gonna be charged criminally, you have the right to an attorney. If they're gonna bring some sort of immigration charges. First of any arrest, immigration or not, there has to be a reasonable suspicion that the person is here undocumented. For the longest time, speaking Spanish wasn't enough. Being brown wasn't enough. That is an arrest that has no basis in the law. However, you can argue that before an immigration judge, right? You cannot argue it before the ICE officer because they're going to do what they're going to do. And you've seen it, how people that resist, how violent they are. They tackle them to the ground just like any other police force. But unlike when someone is arrested because they are, they believe to have they have committed a crime, people that are being arrested by ICE is just because they're brown. So let me just summarize again. If you are arrested by ICE or questioned by ICE, you don't have to answer their questions. You have the right to remain silent. You have, and so they have to give you, you have the right to oppose a search. Don't allow them to search your person, your house, your car. You know, you don't consent to any search. And then if they want to arrest you, then that is going to be their decision. And then they're going to have to justify it to the immigration court, the immigration judge.
But as a U.S. citizen, if my only crime is maybe being brown for them, I don't know, and being detained or questioned or whatever, so should I be carrying my passport with me?
Should you be carrying a passport? I don't think so. No. I mean, why are U.S. citizens, why do a brown U.S. citizen has to carry a passport, but a white U.S. citizen doesn't? So no, I don't think we should be doing that. No. We should not be falling into these artificial standards that they are creating for us. We have the same rights and we have to demand the same rights. And if they violate our rights, then, I mean, we may be, then let's go to court. Let's go to court and then you're going to have to show me, is it going to be hard? Will you be arrested and detained? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. Is it going to be awful? Yes. I get it. I know. But I mean, we cannot be just giving in into all of this nonsense. We have to stand our ground. We have to be brave. We have to demand that we are treated just like everybody else. We have to demand to be treated like white people are treated. You cannot come here and tell me that because I'm brown, I have less rights, and you can come and be violent to my body. And then I'm just going to be okay with it. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to doblar las manitas, right? And then I'm going to carry my passport because, you know, because I'm brown, I have to show my passport. I don't think that that's the attitude we should have. I think the attitude we should have is like, I am brown. I'm a U.S. citizen. I am going to behave like a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen does not have to be carrying a passport on U.S. citizen soil. Period.
So you want people to stand up?
For sure. Otherwise, por eso nos tienen la pata en el cuello.
That's why they put the foot in our back of our neck. Or yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want people to do?
To be brave. I know that it's scary. I know that people are afraid. But being brave means to stand up even when you're scared. No fear. Because That is what is fueling all of this, the fear. First, the fear of the other, the fear that these fear mongers, Trump and all of those people who buy his nonsense, his hate, his divisiveness, right? The fear of, the invaders, right? So, I mean, that is what fueled all of this to begin with. Now, if we continue to be afraid and not fight back, not only with the same intensity, but with tenfold intensity, that's how we get out of this. Right?
Right.
I mean, if we keep buying into the fear, into the, I don't want to post on Facebook because surveillance, I don't want to post in here because something, they may come after me, then how are we going to get out of this? This is how this happened. We let them dominate the airwaves, the message, the social media. We thought, they're crazy. What they're saying is complete lies. Nobody's going to believe that. Guess what? A lot of people believe it because they say over and over and over again. Because these people are so shameless, so hateful. Their propaganda is so strong. Even like they have the cojones to put propaganda in my Latino videos in the morning. I have to be looking at the face of the
Christino.
That one.
Yeah.
That one. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know what the Constitution says, and she's the head of the Department of Homeland Security. She cannot even protect her purse. How is she going to protect anybody else? So, we really need to come out full force. Yeah. I've seen people that I just find so strong. You've seen people jumping on top of vehicles to stop the abduction. I mean, what the Department of Homeland, what ICE officers are doing, they look more like levantones by a cartel in Mexico than a lawful arrest. Really, I mean, we've seen people being abducted by Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación or Los Zetas or the Tijuana or the Sinaloa cartel in the same way that ICE is arresting people.
Yeah.
I mean, again, right now, yes, it's depressing. I am sad, but I'm mostly angry. I am mostly angry that we are being treated like animals, that we are being robbed of opportunities that so many other people before us have had, that white people have had for generations and generations. This is our land, and then we have to treat it as such, whether we came here 10 days ago, 10 years ago, or 100 years ago. We have to support each other, and then we have to stop believing the lies.
Were you heartened to see so many turn out on the Snow Kings Day and the protest?
I did, and but this is only month 5.
Yeah, you got a good point there. I know. Maribel, I really appreciate you talking to me. Let's stay in touch and let's check in maybe down the road here and see how things are going. You can tell me what's going on out there and what you are still experiencing. Let's face it, everything is so fluid. So we'll see. But listen, you take care of yourself.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
The Chino y Chicano podcast is available on your favorite podcast provider.
You can watch the video version on YouTube, and Converge Media, a leading producer of culturally relevant content in the Pacific Northwest. We'll talk more later.